Hi, I am Ben Alexander and I have autism. And today I'm going to talk about a topic that is very hard for all of us. Dealing with people you don't like. And I don't think you should ever hate a person because hate brings out the worst in all of us. And again, I want the best of us, not the worst of us. So today, I'm just going to give you a step-by-step guide on how to deal with people you do not like. Step number 1, confront the person nicely and tell them what is bothering you and how can they improve. Obviously, if they're doing something that's dangerous or unsafe, depending on the severity, you might have to go to a higher authority. But again, if it's something that can be confronted that isn't an emergency, I'd say this is the first step. Again, if it's an emergency, go to authority. Again, use reasoning and common sense and discernment. And that's what I'll say, of course. But, you got to remember that people are not perfect. Some of them are not even aware of their mistakes. So you just got to make sure that you're being nice and be like, not screaming and yelling, and be like, hey, this is bothering me, or this is not right because of this, and have a reason behind it. Just don't be prepared and have a reason for it and explain your reasoning. And hopefully, if they know they make a mistake, hopefully most people will be like, and I do believe most people will be like, I'm sorry, I had no idea that I was making you upset. I apologize. I'll never do it again. And then you have yourself a trustworthy person if they keep their word, and a good friend as well. And if they don't, then they're not a good friend. And you're going to have to go to step number 2, talk to a friend and involve them, because at some point, if it gets to level of severity where it's like, this cannot keep happening, you got to get a friend involved and be like, and if you don't have a friend, I would say you got to go to step 3, which is get the higher authority involved. And again, you shouldn't be so trigger happy to get authority involved, but sometimes you have a stubborn bully or a person who's publicly harming you or others, and that's something that just can't be ignored, and you have to go to a higher authority so they can deal with it, because they're trained to deal with problems like that. And I'll give you some tips on how to deal with people you don't like. I have 4 tips right here. And again, I kind of already explained tip number 1, which is don't always tell on a person every time they do something wrong. It might be tempting every time they do a little thing wrong, or every little thing they say to tick you off, you might go tell a teacher or a boss or a higher authority, the person who has the highest authority. But I think that's a bad thing, because people are going to catch on to it, because a lot of people talk about drama, because again, the world is very dramatic at times, and that's going to get spread around, and then it's like, and then they may be like, wow, this person always tattletales on me, and it's like, I don't want to be around this person. I'm not even comfortable, because I feel like he's going to tell on, or he or she's going to tell on me every little thing I do wrong, And honestly, you got to make sure you want to talk to the person first, so that way, if you can handle it within one person. Like, again, I'd follow the steps 1, 2, 3 in order. Talk to the person, then if the person doesn't listen, talk to a friend, and then the higher authority, in that order. And the other reason is authority has a lot to deal with, and they might not even trust you if you always tell on them for the littlest thing. They might get in their heads, it's like, is this really that big of a deal? And, don't become a tattletale, because that's not going to get you anywhere. Just obviously, I would try to talk to the person first, and that's the best case scenario. And yeah, and it keeps the person accountable, and and you have an opportunity to kind of show forgiveness and kindness to each other and really just try to explain your intentions better, because sometimes the person will not know your intentions. They just think you want to see them in trouble all the time, and they'll not want to hang out with you, and they'll think you're toxic, and they could make up lies and really destroy you. And I wouldn't want that for anybody, because bullies tend to not really care about other people's feelings a whole lot. So, and they don't have a good moral sense of direction. So that's why I would just say always talk to the person first. And then if not, bring a friend. And then if you don't have a friend, or if you're alone in the school, then you could talk to authority. Or if they ignore you and the friend, then go talk to authority about it and explain to the authority that this person's continually ignore me and continue to be mean to me and other people. And obviously at that point, authority comes in and takes care of the situation. And tip number 2 is you always got to forgive, even no matter what a person does to you. And it's very, very hard. I've seen videos on YouTube where people forgive killers and murderers for killing their own family members. And I just sit there, it's like, wow, they have a lot of forgiveness in their hearts to forgive somebody like that. And it kind of inspires me in a way. And again, obviously murder's wrong and all that stuff, but forgiving even in the worst of situations, that is, and not letting that have a stranglehold on your life. And of course there's grieving processes and counseling. You should do that too, but forgiving is such an important thing. It just lets go the anger and the rage and says, you know what? God's in control of this. I'm going to trust that things will get better and everything's going to be all right, even though it might not seem like it. And that's very hard in extremely hard situations. And I don't know what you're going through right now, but forgiveness is something that is very hard to do. But if you can forgive and truly want the best for that other person, I think instead of always fighting and hating each other, and it's very easy, and I get it. It's easier to hate a person than love a person, especially if they hurt you. And I get that, but I do, and again, obviously I believe that there are consequences to your mistakes and all that stuff. I agree with that too. But at the end of the time, we should all seek forgiveness and restoration. I believe that is the number one thing. And living by the golden rule, which is my parents have taught me the golden rule, which is treat others the way you want to be treated. I'd say number 3, let go and move on. No matter what you've done, we have all had guilt coming from our mistakes, and really don't let guilt chain you from becoming a better person. Most people are really fine if you just learn from your mistakes. And that's why I think you got to focus on the lesson that needs to be learned and move on from it and do better next time. It's all and don't let that chain be and get in your head. It's like, man, I'm going to make this mistake again. It's like, what's the point? It's like, and then you feel chained to that mistake. No, be like, I'm going to improve this. I'm going to make this better. And I am going to, improve the best of my abilities. If I give 100%, that's all I can ask of myself. And if I'm really struggling with something, I would talk to a friend, go to counseling, get services. Depending on the problem, of course. But, I just try to work together instead of apart. And just trust in God. And number 4 is don't wish pain on anyone. So the question I'd ask you is, would you want someone to wish pain on you? The answer is probably no. Wishing pain on someone is not very productive, and it may make that person even more hateful and resentful and worse in the end. And that's something that I don't want, because the last thing you want to do, how to deal with a hateful person, is throw more fuel on the fire. You got to try the best to restore that person. And again, there are people that are just, for some reason, can't be restored or don't want to be restored. No, it's not that they can't be restored. They just don't want to be restored, or they're going through some type of issue. I don't really know. But wishing pain on someone is not a good thing. And again, there are painful consequences to your actions, and that happens. Everybody's gone through it, of course. We all can think of scenarios that we've had painful consequences happen to. But when you see somebody going through the consequences, it's never a fun sight, at least for me. You don't want to see anybody in that state, even though I know it. Sometimes pain is how we learn, and it's one of the, I'd say, kind of the unfortunate things about life, but it is a thing in life. You know, we learn from pain, and I wish we could just learn without pain, but unfortunately that's not how we're wired, and it's not humanity. It seems like humanity seems to learn more from the pain and the losses than from the victories. It seems like a weird concept, but that's just human nature, and I get it. But, you know, I just, with the world we live in, there's so much pain and sadness. It's like, the last thing I want to do is give more pain and sadness to somebody else. That's the last thing I would ever want for anybody. And I'm more in the service of seeing people restored and seeing people improve. You know, they're at one point of their life, and the next point they're improving. They're a completely changed person for the better. That's what I want for everybody, and that's kind of why I'm here. You know, I want people to be better, and that's the intentions of starting this YouTube channel. And we need to become peacemakers and treat people with kindness. And the golden rule, like I said earlier, that is something we all need to practice. And this isn't easy. I know it's not going to be easy, and it's hard for everyone, including me. And these videos are for me as much as it is for you. I struggle with all of these on the list, and I really need to remind myself of these things. No one is perfect, and humility and admitting our mistakes and learning from them and moving on is very incredibly important. And don't let people get in your head. That's the other thing I'd say, is don't let people get into your head. You know, some people want to get into your head, and they're just that much of an annoyance. But don't let them get into your head. It's very hard. Again, it's extremely hard, but you just can't do that. And again, like I said, go to counseling, find resources, you know, do the best you can, because that's all you can control. And remember, no one is perfect, and, you know, try to learn from your mistakes the very best you can. And do 100% effort and try your best. That's all anyone can ask of you. So I would like to hear from you. So what tips would you add to my list? And this concludes the end of my video, and I appreciate all of you for watching till the end, and I'll see you in the next video.